Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to break down another pit breakdown in the Mineland Wildlife Area and here in Southeast Kansas. Before I get started, as usual, if you guys have not liked this video, go ahead and like the video. If you are not a subscriber to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you would. That helps support the channel, lets me know you guys are enjoying the content, which from the feedback, everybody is enjoying the content, especially the pit breakdown. So I still got like 100 and some pits to go in lots of other places. So let's jump into this one here. This one is pit number 23, commonly known as my whole family anyway, and I've known it as Schoolhouse. I don't know if anybody else knows it as that or not, but it is pit number 23. It's a U shape right there. It used to run it behind Dynamite Plant, and they blocked that off years, 10 years ago or so. They built a dam right in there so you couldn't get back in there to that. So the ramp conditions on this boat ramp are good. It's got a good concrete ramp. It's got good parking for all size boats. Some you might have to kind of park a little bit off the road right there at the pit road that goes down through there, but there's plenty of room to park all size boats, little boats, big boats, don't matter the size. The water is clear. It's clearer, and it has lots of grass, and it does have deeper areas and shallower areas, so it's got it all. I think the deepest areas, I don't know, can't really remember. I've never been in there too much actually with my bass boat, but I believe it's around 30 foot is the deepest in there. So it's not a real deep pit, but it does get deep, and it's got shallow areas in it. So this first picture right here is what I'm going to call the north section. I'm going to break it down, starting off with the north section. The red right there are my favorite areas in this section. I have seen 5-pounders quite a few years ago. It's been a long time since a 5-pounder come out of there, but it was from back there in the back, right there on that red area on the north back to the east. It's got a lot of laydowns back there on the north and the south bank. That's why I like fishing in that area. That area is good in the spring and the summer. It's good as well in the morning time. Get down there, if the water's up in those laydowns, you can flip up in those laydowns, fish around those laydowns. And then in the spring back there, they like to move up there and feed as well and spawn up in those areas. And then the other red on the south bank back to the west, I've done good there all year. It don't matter what season it is, I have caught them there. It's a good steeper bank. Not steeper, but it's just got more water in it, more depth, so it's good all year round. The green all the way back to the east is good in the spring. Like I said, it's good in the summer too, all the way back there. If the water's up in there early on, you can get a good topwater bite in there. Same way at the spring. Look for fish bedding up in those trees, and look for fish bedding out in the middle back there because it's real flat, and it's got the good out in the middle, the good grass out there to spawn in back there in the back. There's not as much grass back in there as there is the other side, but I'll get into that here later. Now let's jump into the middle section here. The red on the north right there is actually where I caught my last 18-inch bass, and that was in a summer tournament in there. A summer, that was before we were actually Columbus Bass Club, but it was a summer pit tournament out there. It is good all year round. Like I said, the last time I was in there, I did good in the summertime right there. The same way with the red on the south, that is good all year round. The green in those areas are good in the spring. And then the purple is good in the summer and winter if there's wind blowing on it right in there. And you can catch them if the wind ain't blowing in there, but that's when it's really good because it kind of pushes them back up in there, and it pushes everything they eat, the shad and everything those shad eat, and the bass up into that. It congregates them up into that area. And the purple is good in the summer. Like I said, I'm backtracking there. Yep, I already said that. Good in the winter and the spring. Then the white. Look for the shad out here. If you see the shad out there in the winter or the summer, that is where the fish are going to be. You'll see them busting out there, popping out there. And if you see that, or if you see birds, say in the wintertime, the summer, you'll see the shad kind of fluttering out there, but in the winter, not as much. But if you see the birds out there, throw a 3-inch swim bait or a jerk bait out there, and that's how you'll get them out there in that area where the white is. They like to stay out what we call a ditch out in there. And then I want to backtrack to that north section. I forgot to mention the green arms back to the west are also good in the spring and the summer, and look for bed and bass back in those pockets as well. Now, the last section I want to talk about here is the south section. The red has been my best areas right there on the jogs or the points right there. The white is good, as I mentioned before. And if there's shad out there in the winter or summertime, in the summer and winter time, a 3.5 inch or a 3-inch big hammer swim bait, a Vision 110 jerk bait. They both work in the summer and the winter time. Deep diving crankbaits in the summertime work really good. And then a big hammer ringer worm works out there. You can reel it as well, but if they're out there in the open water, the jerk bait or the swim bait work better. Now, the green is great in the spring and early summer, and then early mornings in the summer, because all this back in there is shallow. And there's grass. Earlier in the spring, the grass is just starting to grow in, so it's not as thick. But in the summertime, it gets real thick under there. So they move in there, and they'll feed in the mornings in there, and they'll stay in there later too. But once that water gets too hot, they move back out to that deeper water. But in the summertime or in the springtime, look for all the beds out there in that grass. That is great cover for them to spawn in. So all them green dots in those areas, look for bed and bass. Now, when you're fishing for the bed and bass, you're going to want to throw lures that imitate kind of crawls or bluegill or straight tail worms. You do not want curly tail worms. There's just too much action really to them on the beds. So you want to throw your straight tail worms like a big hammer salt shaker worm is a good worm to throw. One more common known is a finesse worm, a zoom finesse worm or a zoom trick worm is good. A magnum finesse worm works really good, or a Cinco style bait works really good on those two. And a wacky rig works good as well on a bed. That really imitates a bluegill. And then any of your bluegill beds, I know Berkeley Gilly is good on beds as well. And then your crawl style baits. I like to throw a zoom, or not zoom, but a zoom Z crawl works well. And then also Strike King Rage crawl works good on a Texas rig in there as well. You want to throw a lightweight, depending on how thick the grass is. I like a lighter weight, an 1/8 ounce. It comes through there a lot easier. Doesn't get hung up in it as much. Okay, so now let's get into colors. What colors do I like to throw in this pit? This pit is notorious for me for blue fleck. The last time I was in there, the last 2 times I've been in there, I have caught pretty much every fish on a blue fleck color worm. Not plum, but blue fleck. Plum and blue fleck are kind of alike, but in this pit, they like blue fleck. They'll eat the plum, but not as good. So blue fleck power worm, 7-inch power worm, blue fleck 10-inch power worm. I do better though in the bigger worm when I go with a Zoom Old Monster in blue fleck. That's where I caught that last 3-pounder out of there. And then the 5-pounder came on a blue fleck power worm, 7-inch power worm there years ago. So they love blue fleck in this pit. When you worm color wise, that is pretty much, I would not go away from that. If it was me, that's what I've done good on. But you could try any of your other colors in the clear water. Green pumpkin works good in clear water. And then your watermelons work good in clear water. So you could throw those other ones, but I would prefer the blue fleck. Jig wise, a 2K Jigs Lil Punk works really good in there. It's really got too much grass to throw the ball head, the wrecking ball. So I like the Lil Punk. I like it in a blue crab color is the name of it. That'll be posted on there in the links to get that. A big hammer ringer worm works good. Magic bug is the color to throw in there. It's not the blue fleck, but it works really good. That just works good everywhere. And then if they're wanting the more watermelons that day, watermelon red works really good when the big hammer ringer worm in there. And watermelon red, I like the watermelon red when it's sunny too. but I always go with the blue fleck in this pit. So that is my first go-to is the blue fleck in pit number 23. Now let's talk fish-wise. Well, I got sidetracked there. Let's talk more colors. Okay, colors in your swim baits, you're going to want shad color since it's clear. Any shad colors. Your jerk baits, shad colors. If you're throwing a Vision 110 Pro Blue, you can't go wrong with Pro Blue. That is pretty much my go-to in the pits and pretty much anywhere there's not too stained is that Pro Blue works really good, or your silverbacks, black sides works good, or silver sides, black backs, sorry, works good. And then if you're throwing a crankbait, throw your natural colors in there. Your shad, like I said, your silvers, anything that imitates just natural shad. And then it's really too grassy to throw anything that goes in the bottom, even in the winter. You could try it, but you're probably just going to get grass on any of your rock crawlers or wiggle warts in there. I've never done any good on those in there. Don't mean you won't, but I never have personally. Now, fish-wise, this is probably the best pit fish-wise to catch fish. Really, we need guys to go into this pit and harvest bass because this is the perfect pit to do it in. There is tons of fish under 13 inches in there. And I say tons. Last time we was in that pit, we had a pit tournament. There was nobody that brought a fish in over 13 inches. That's it. And then the one before that, there was only one fish brought in over 13 inches. Not even we're doing pictures. None of them in the slot. There wasn't even one over 13 inches in the slot when we was doing pictures. Just every bass under 13 inches. And that one, I know here a couple of years ago, we caught over 100 between two of us in there. So we caught a lot. There is a ton of fish in here. It's been this way for years. And this is where, if you want to harvest bass, this is the place to go. Now, it's not bad to harvest bass, guys. That's what the slot limit is here for in the pits, especially the smaller bass in a pit like this, where it is, I call it being stunned. It's got too many little fish, so the fish can't grow any bigger because there's so many fish in there. So this is a good pit to harvest fish in. So if you guys want to eat bass, if you guys are like me, I love eating fish. So this, if I go to harvest bass, this is one of the pits to go into because there is so many of them in there. And don't feel bad about harvesting them. Just, if it's me, I don't eat any bass bigger. Like in the slot there, the 13 to 18 inches, I harvest the bass under 13 inches. I catch one over 18 inches. I throw that back to keep those genes coming in. I don't want to eat those big ones. I've seen a lot of guys that do that. And that just sickens me that you would eat the big one, oh yeah, there's more meat on it, but just go out and catch the little ones and spend a little more time filleting them out. I mean, they're great fillets. They're actually better tasting than the bigger ones too. So that is a great one to go in and do that in. So hopefully this will help you guys. I know it wasn't too many areas broke down in this pit, but I've just caught so many fish everywhere in this pit. It's hard to really single out a good spot out of a pit like this one where there's so many good spots. So hopefully this information helps you guys. Like I said, go with blue fleck in here and you cannot go wrong. Now, I have been in here before and blanked here a couple of years ago though. So that was in the fall. Winter though, it gets a little tough that time of year. But if you go in here in the spring or summertime, you are guaranteed to catch fish. Just throw a blue fleck worm and you will catch them. Thanks, guys.